Hey everybody! Today's video is part one of a two-part series on this card. We are going to do the complex masking portion of this card. And I call it complex masking not because it's difficult, but because it takes a little bit of planning to mask multiple items in a stamped scene like this. To begin with, I'm cutting out all of the images after stamping them on my favorite masking paper. So you'll want to do that and be sure that you do not leave any white space. I tend to cut out my images, sort of dividing that black stamped line in half. That way I don't leave a halo around my images, and it actually even makes them easier to line up. So once you have them all cut out, what you'll want to do is compose your scene as I'm doing here. So I'm figuring out where I want everything, and this is a really important part of the process because it tells you which items need to be masked and in which order, because whatever item is to the frontmost part of the image, that has to be stamped and masked first. So in this case, that's going to be the bunny. The bunny is in front of the chair is in front of the dresser. So that's the order that you'll want to mask your scene in. So I actually stuck all my masks down here to help me line up the stamps on my MISTI and get them where they need to be on my card. So once all the masks are down there, then I can just put the bunny on top of the bunny mask and pick it up, and it'll be in the right place in the scene, and it won't be covering up that little blanket on the back of the chair. So then you will remove your masks. So the bunny isn't really blocking the dresser, but the dresser isn't stuck down, so you can leave that. You could stick it down, whatever. But this way the bunny's going to be in the right place. So now, in order to get the bunny sitting on the chair, the very next element, because it's in front of the dresser, is going to be the chair. So see what I'm doing? Everything that's in front of another object, that's the order that you go in. Frontmost to backmost. Not that those are real words, but you know what I'm saying. So now you can sort of see through this masking paper, which is another reason why I really like it, and that helps me line up the chair where it needs to be. So I will line it up using the mask and then remove the mask and remask the bunny. I could have just masked the bunny before I even put that down, but as you'll see later, this masking paper is sticky enough that it will pick that other mask up. So I just check one time to make sure it is aligned properly, and then I'm going to stamp it. So stamp that right on top of the bunny. I had just left the little blanket mask there. It doesn't really matter. I actually don't end up needing that in the end because you can sort of align that blanket with the top of the chair as you see me doing with the stamp image. And then you wouldn't really need a mask because those two stamp lines line up so well. So there you go. I just stamped it down on top of the chair image. No mask needed. Now, leaving the bunny masked, I'm going to mask the chair. And I'm sort of figuring out here, where do I want that dresser? So I just slide it underneath that mask, and this is just for the stamp positioning. So I will line that up. And you're going to see how important all of this is when we go to create the background, which is really fun. So you're actually getting two tutorials today. How to do the complex masking, and then how to create a scenic background just with ink blending, which is one of my favorite techniques. I have several videos. You can go look through my channel. Speaking of my channel does now offer channel memberships. If you want to check out some perks that you can get by being a member of my channel, then feel free to do that. I am sending out some channel membership goodies this week. So it's a fun way to get some free stamps and dies and buy me a coffee every now and then. Win-win. Now the little vase doesn't really need to be masked. You can just stamp it on top of the dresser. But for the background building part, you still do need to mask it. So those two together don't need masking for the vase, but the background does require masking. Now for this, it's really hard to do this without a sticky mat. So I do recommend a sticky mat or another sticky surface that you can put your card front on for this part of the image. The reason I like the sticky mat is the grid becomes super important to what I'm about to do. So it helps me get a level floor line for one, which you see me doing with Post-it tape across the bottom. That's going to differentiate the ceiling or the wall from the floor. Then I'm going to mask the vase. Now everything in the scene is masked, and I'm going to put down a base color for the wall. And I want this to remain fairly light because I'm actually using this same ink color to create the striped wallpaper. Now the vertical grid is how I will create the stripes, and those little 1/8 inch squares are perfect for what you're going to see me do. So to me, it's really an essential piece of equipment for creating scenes like this and getting straight lines, which I cannot do otherwise. So I decided that each stripe will be 3/8 of an inch and the stripes will be 5/8 of an inch apart. So if you make your tape long enough, you can line that up on the bottom and on the top, and you'll know that it'll be perfectly straight. Because this would be a really weird, freaky scene if the stripes were wavy. I think that would be very Alice in Wonderland, and that's not what I'm going for here. So you can see me lining it up, getting myself a 3/8 inch stripe here in the center. And of course, you don't want to go below your masked off line for the floor, because we are going to do a different treatment on the floor that I think you're going to find really, really fun. It's my little secret technique for creating carpeting. It's not going to be a secret anymore because I'm going to show you how to do it. But to me, it's like a Berber carpet technique. I think that's what I'll call it. So there you go. Fun little striped wallpaper. Looks really elegant. Count over 5 squares and then put the tape down for the last stripe. And see how much variation you can get with just a single ink pad. One of my favorite things about ink blending. Very fun. So I will pull that off. And now I have a nice little striped wallpaper background. It looks so classy. This little bunny is leading a very elegant life. Okay, so I'll put a couple of pieces of tape down just because I have them. You don't want to get stray ink. After you've done all this work with your complex masking and creating your wall, you don't want to get stray ink up there. Now for this part, you will want a water reactive ink. So I'm using a Hero Hues ink pad here, and you need to put this layer on really thick for this technique to really shine, my little secret carpeting technique. So get yourself a good solid layer. And you'll really see what I mean when we go to put texture on, which I'm going to do simply by misting one of my microfiber cloths with water. You can also use alcohol, and gently pressing it down into the water reactive ink. So look at that. It looks just like a rug, like a Berber carpet. I think that is so much fun. So now for the fun part, we'll do the reveal. And I'm going to carefully remove these masks. Don't rip them because you can use them over and over and over again with this masking paper. And look at that adorable little scene. Now this will get colored in part 2 of this series where we are going to do a hybrid coloring technique. I stick my masks onto the stamp set across the image so that I always have those for next time. But how much fun is that? And it was worth every minute of masking. And here is what you will see in the second video. So that'll be in a couple weeks. Thanks so much for watching.